Hey everybody, I'm about to hop on a flight tomorrow morning, and I thought, well, I had some time before I teach this course. I'm teaching a course on sexual fawning right now, which will be available on the website in the next month or two. I wanted to talk a little bit about my book and maybe spend the next few episodes with you, kind of sharing some important highlights from it. And so I thought I would start with reading a really short chapter to you, which is titled Chocolate Dependence, Divorce, and What I Learned. So sit back and let me read you a story. The relationship between nutrition and trauma is both profound and underexplored. We spend decades in therapy talking about every aspect of our lives except for what we eat. When is the last time your therapist or coach asked you what you had for breakfast? You can do all the therapy in the world to heal from trauma and better manage stress, yet still be including daily food practices that are causing stress inside of your body. Eating is a relational experience between two beings, the food and your body. It might sound strange to consider food as a being, yet that's exactly how I see it. Consider animals and the products we eat from them. They breathe, they give birth, they love, and they feel. Animal products are just these beings in a changed form. What they eat is transformed into nutrients for them, and then we eat their bodies, and those nutrients feed our cells. They build our muscles and become our bones and flesh. Even their level of stress or happiness while they were alive will get passed on to us. Their bodies become our bodies. Can a relationship get any more intimate than that? Plant foods aren't that different. Plants drink water. They move to gain more sunlight for nutrients. They have survival responses, and they have their own intimate relationship between soil, sun, and water. They even find ways to migrate by creating fruits and seeds that appeal to birds and other animals like us, who then deposit their seeds all over the earth. Whether it's a squirrel forgetting where it buried a nut, or a bear passing seeds through its stools, plants found a way to move without legs. Plants are alive, and as such, they want to live. They find ways to adapt, and like animals, their bodies, experiences, and even living conditions affect their nutritional profiles. And that information from their bodies become part of our cells and tissues. They transform into us through digestion. They live on through us. We can think of nutrition itself as the information delivery system of a plant. A bean, for example, is the offspring of a vine, and it is packed with information for how to survive, and it's given the perfect ingredients for sprouting and becoming a huge vine or plant. Its wisdom, memories, and information, nutrients, also become alive in us through digestion. Digestion is simply the process of our bodies breaking down plant and animal bodies and extracting their information to help us survive and thrive. Again, they live on through us. So let's think of nutrients like they're topics of discussion. Digestion, in many ways, a conversation between food and your body. Some foods come with information that settles your body, and others come with information that stimulates your body. When you have PTSD, insomnia, anxiety, or chronic stress, your body's already living in a state of hyperstimulation. As I explained in the last chapter, the biology of stress and trauma is one of excess adrenaline. Certain foods will stimulate your adrenals, and by doing so, mimic the biology of threat. The same biological event that occurs during stress and trauma, high blood pressure, stimulated adrenals, nervous system activation, will also occur just from what you eat or did not eat for lunch. This was the aha moment that I accidentally stumbled upon when I was working as a full-time nutritional counselor. In 1 week, 3 different women had come in to see me for a variety of health issues, and as I was looking over their food journal, I noticed something. They would eat lots and lots of chocolate when their husbands came home from work. When I brought this up to them, they each said the exact thing, followed by a shriek of nervous laughter. If I stopped eating chocolate, I would have to get a divorce. Light bulb. I had always known about comfort eating, but never experienced it quite like this. It was beyond just eating something to feel better. This was about eating to emotionally and physically survive the circumstances of your life. This was about using food to create a sensational experience inside of you to counteract stress happening outside of you. This was unconscious alchemy, and food was the catalyst of choice. As the months went on, 2 of these women were able to reduce their chocolate intake, and we explored some techniques to help them have better boundaries and express their needs to their husbands. But the 3rd woman, the only one who cut out chocolate completely, ended up divorcing her husband and living on her own with her children. Because she was no longer bypassing her own feelings and needs with the chocolate, she became not only abstinent from the drug, but sober to how she actually felt. As I began studying somatic psychology and training to become a somatic experiencing practitioner, I became more and more aware of the biology of stress and trauma. My nutrition training was a window into biochemistry and how foods break down into chemicals that relate to our body's chemicals. But learning about trauma through a somatic lens was the missing puzzle piece. This is when I started to realize the potency of food as medicine. As someone who had used binge eating to soothe my own inner landscapes of pain, I could relate to using food as a way to temporarily shift my chemistry to feel better or to not even feel at all. I started studying each of my clients from this new lens. I was specifically looking for the connection between traumatic events and which food practices emerged from these events as a way of self-soothing. I began to put food into 3 categories: depressants, stimulants, and balancers. The more I studied the foods themselves and how these foods affect my own body and my clients, I learned that, for example, fried foods had the ability to depress the body by exhausting it, which could offer a temporary break from anxiety. Other foods like coffee and sugar could stimulate the body to temporarily create more energy to mobilize out of depression or freeze response and get to work. By contrast, foods like whole unprocessed foods had the ability to nourish the adrenals, the nervous system, and balance blood sugar so that the body had capacity to experience stress without temporarily bypassing it through stimulating or depressing the body. These 3 food categories became my compass. I used them to navigate my own recovery from binging and then began applying them in my private practice. People who were burdened by insomnia, anxiety, panic attacks, and overwhelming fatigue started finding relief from these expressions by learning which foods were contributing to these states and which foods could balance them. Being able to teach people how the food they ate could directly affect their capacity to heal from stress and trauma granted them the direct power to shift their inner ecology. I call this the quiet diet. It's not a diet for weight loss, nor is it a strict and rigid guideline to detoxify and heal the body. It's actually a way of life that emerges from knowing the effects of certain foods, feeling the effects of these foods, and then becoming your own conscious alchemist when making food choices. When we embody how these foods affect us, we are able to witness their inner relationship that unfolds between food and body. Even with my categorization of foods, your body may have its own particular response. Allow this chapter to be a big question mark. Don't take my word for anything, and don't reject anything out of hand. Question and explore it by noticing how your body responds to these guidelines. When you learn these ways of being with the body and food, you begin to be less judgmental of your eating habits. You will learn that your cravings are sophisticated, subconscious ways that your body is trying to meet an internal need, be it nutritional or emotional. Food is the shortcut to changing how you feel because of how quickly it affects our biochemistry. What I learned from these women, and thousands of people since, is that our food changes our biology so that we can better tolerate our circumstances. This isn't a bad thing when it's a circumstance we have no control over. I am sipping an Earl Grey Olay as I write this because I need to meet my writing deadline, and the extra stimulation from the tea is helping me work more than I would naturally. It's a short-term strategy. However, if I'm drinking the tea to escape the depression I feel from the person I married, then I would be using food to avoid certain realities that I could take steps toward changing. My client who left her husband did so because cutting out chocolate meant she had to actually feel what it was like to be married to someone she didn't desire or connect with. The chocolate had helped her avoid those feelings. She wasn't just someone who loved to eat chocolate. She was dependent on it in order to continue living with the isolation and sadness of a loveless marriage. The other 2 women who stayed with their partners found more courage and capacity to speak up for themselves as they reduced their chocolate intake. It was just enough sobering up for them to not be able to completely ignore the issues they faced with their partners. Food is a shortcut to shifting our internal chemistry. As you'll learn in the upcoming chapters, our food choices deeply affect our blood sugar, nervous system, and adrenals in specific ways. Let's explore these ways, and remember, it's not about healthy or unhealthy, nor is it about right or wrong. It's about what stimulates, depresses, or balances you. That's the end of the chapter. It's really lovely to read it. It's the first time I've read it out loud or even in one go after writing it. And it really encapsulates and captures that moment for me that was so profoundly connecting to all my studies and my personal experiences. And what excites me most about this book is I really lay it out. I guide you deeply into how to begin relating to your body, relating to your food and how it affects your body, and then shifting some of your habits or cravings into other ones that are more balancing. So shifting from the stimulating, depressing foods and habits to the more balancing, depressing foods and habits. And there's no doing it right or wrong. There's doing it based on what you're able to do. And what I'm excited for is for people to start noticing, oh, this is how I am when I'm taking in foods that support me, compared to this is how I am when I'm taking in foods that shock or depress my system. So many of us judge ourselves and our behaviors as who we are when they're often in response to stressful experiences, and food can be a stressful experience. My goal is that this book really teaches you how food can be a stressful experience and doesn't rely on high-end organic superfoods or supplements to heal or shift anyone's body. Instead, it relies on a very accessible practice, which is free, of relating to yourself, and then using foods that are often affordable and accessible to balance your body so that you're able to move through the stress of life with much more grace. If you go to my website right now and click on the book, you can sign up to be on the wait list because we are going to be doing some pretty amazing pre-orders next year that will lead you to certain offers, certain in-person events, and retreats we're putting together in order to bring this book to life and share it with as many people as possible. So thank you for joining me today. It was lovely to read and literally take a page out of a chapter in my own book, for real. And I hope it took you somewhere into your body. I hope it gave you a sense of understanding of why you move towards certain foods and practices and habits. I hope this is the beginning of a light bulb moment for you as it was for me. And know, very soon, April 2026, this book will be yours. And you'll have so much information to help guide you and navigate life through your body and through your relationship with food. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. Stress and trauma happen in the body, so we need to go inside the body in order to recover from it. I'm Luis Mojica, somatic therapist, nutritionist, and trauma educator. My 7-week course is going to teach you how to use nutrition, somatics, and embodied parts work in order to recover from stress and trauma. My virtual course is 100% live, taught by me and my team, and it's a lot like a retreat because we're not just teaching you things, we're interacting, we're practicing, we're engaging in sound healings, and we're there for you through one-on-one support throughout the entire 7 weeks. My team is a huge part of this support system to help make sure you are integrating and practicing this work and having all the support you need to get through the 7 weeks. Camille Leek is our community manager and co-teacher. Evan Glenn Adams is our resident sound healer, who will be doing a live sound healing every week. Marika Malaya is there for co-regulation, somatic practices, and support throughout the 7 weeks as well. Week 1 of my course is all about the biology of stress and trauma, meaning what's actually happening inside of you when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. Week 2 teaches you trauma-informed nutrition, which essentially means how food affects your adrenals, your blood sugar, and your nervous system, including your brain and your mood.
One of the things that was really profound came in week 2 with the shift in diet, not only in terms of noticing a real shift in my energy levels, but also in my gut health.
Week 3 helps you explore how your body experiences your relationships, the people around you, the places you go to, even where you live. Week 4 is integration week, which is a lovely week to spread out, settle in, and integrate everything you've learned from the prior 3 weeks. I'll host a Q&A session, an integration session, and a sound healing that week.
Being in community with people from all over the world feels incredibly beautiful during these divisive times.
These practices are very simple, and yet they seem to have a really profound effect.
Week 5 is the beginning of how you relate to yourself. How do your thoughts show up in your body? How do you relate to your thoughts and your ideas of yourself? This is a really important piece of embodied parts work, so you can learn how to hold these different parts in you instead of letting them rule you and your decisions.
If we hadn't worked with Luis, we would probably be on the verge of breaking up. or, we wouldn't be living together anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, this video wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Week 6 is all about meaning making. What story do you tell based on experiences you've had? And what does your body expect is going to happen again? Week 7, our final week of the course, is all about activation. It's about your relationship to the big, inconvenient, even uncomfortable sensations that emerge due to life circumstances and past experiences.
Louise's ability to kind of lead students through the work in a safe space, earn trust, and oftentimes kind of reach a resolution on the spot. It's pretty incredible.
I hope you join us because we would love to support you in learning, practicing, and integrating this work into your life.
Getting there, it was just, I could tell something special was about to happen.
There's just something about in-person retreats that just doesn't compare to online space.
Minla is outstandingly beautiful. Why not be there with Luis and his team?
My body knew that something intense was going to happen in the most beautiful way.
It was all about getting what each and every one of us needed and what the community needed.
My biggest takeaway is that I got introduced to myself.
We're just a bunch of misfits trying to find community with one another, and that's where my heart just blasted open because I felt like seen, and yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it.
Imagine going to a therapist because you're feeling depressed or unmotivated or trying to recover from chronic stress and trauma. And instead of that therapist asking you questions about your mother or your childhood or any problems you're going through, they ask you one very important, overlooked question. What did you have for breakfast? My name is Luis Mojica, and I am that therapist. I'm a somatic therapist and nutritionist who uses food to help people recover from stress and trauma. Some people call me a trauma nutritionist. Others simply know me as that guy who loves beans. Why? There's a whole chapter in the book, and you can read all about it. I've taken over 20 years of experience in the field of somatic psychology and nutrition and put all of the information in one book called Food Therapy. Food therapy teaches people the very simple yet missing link between nutrition and stress response. In other words, the food we eat has the ability to increase or decrease the levels of stress hormones in our bodies, which have profound effects on our mental, emotional, and physical health. This is vital information for the everyday person looking for more balance in their lives, or individuals looking to recover from current stress or even past traumatic experiences. My approach is highly accessible because I focus on everyday foods that are easy to prepare and are affordable and help lower our stress levels. I've been teaching this work to tens of thousands of people in person and virtually all over the world since leaving my private practice in 2020. And what I've learned from meeting people from all backgrounds is food therapy resonates and is needed by everyone. I'm thrilled to have this book as a resource for so many people to lean on so they can learn how to navigate their lives and their healing through a trauma-informed nutritional lens.